Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? Welcome to the Big Boss Man Roundtable with the smartest man on social media. You know who it is, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, let me bring up the Big Boss Man himself, the man in charge. Woodshed 1914 is in the building. What's
Man,
good,
what's
boss?
going on, Freezy? Man, what's going on, bro? I've been waiting to
Man,
talk
you
to you,
know,
bro.
you know it, you know it. I can't call it, boss. You know it.
Man, you can call it. they may not like it, but you can call it for sure.
They might not like it, right?
they might
Right.
they might not like it, but you can definitely call it, man. I'm blessed, man. Having a great week so far. A lot
Right.
of stuff I could complain about, but it ain't gonna change nothing,
It
man.
won't change nothing.
And here we are.
And here we
Here we
are.
are.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm super excited that to have you here in this spot in our weekday slot, so that we can do the big boss man roundtable. Um let me before I get started, man. Is there anything on your mind that you want to just talk about first?
Yep, absolutely, man. And it's here we are again. Meet me at the crossroads. It seems like, with the exception of 21-22, where the team had the injuries and we were just couldn't even close out a season to make the playoffs. You know, here we are again, coming up on another trade deadline where there are moves out there that can be made to level the team up even more so than it already is. And you got three different factions. You got a faction of people that saying, "Look, I don't want to touch nothing. Like, we good. We gonna contend. We'll kick the can and we'll make a move this summer." And then you got people that saying, "Hey, look, I'm open to a move, but I don't want it to ruin chemistry." And then you got another faction of people saying, "Look, I'm looking at this team. I'm seeing some things missing. I'm seeing that the
Right.
Eastern Conference is open for the taking. I'm seeing some things missing. It's worth the risk." So you got one end pulling this way, another end pulling that way. You got people in the middle just kind of being pulled back and forth.
Back
But
and forth.
I mean, here we are again. We at the crossroads, and at some point, I mean, the OG trade was the biggest trade in the NBA so far, right? It was the biggest move in the NBA so far, but I wouldn't consider that move shooting your shot.
Right.
I
Right.
don't, and as much as I would like to see it, I personally don't think Donovan Mitchell's even on the table anymore. Like, I don't like with the success he's having in Cleveland. I
Right.
don't see it. I mean, I don't see it. Not even in the summer. I don't see any reason Cleveland gonna say, "Yeah, we'll take Malcolm Brogdon and some late draft picks."
Right.
Sure, we'll take that for a player that's exactly what Scott Perry said that the front office didn't think he could be. We'll take it for that. Yeah, just send us Malcolm Brogdon and we'll take a contract fill and we'll take your picks that's gonna be 25 or maybe even 30 after you get Mitchell. We'll take that. Yeah, sure. It doesn't matter. We compete for the same thing in the same conference. Sure, we'll take that. That's like
Yeah.
I mean, gotta look at things realistically, man. And
Right.
the New York Knicks, with the way they're playing, the way Randall's playing, the way Brunson's playing, when they're healthy, like, the time and the championship window is open now.
It's open right now.
It's open right now. Like, I don't want to wait until Randall's 32 or Brunson's 29 or Josh Hart's 31 and then we're gonna make a move.
Right.
Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, come on. Like, we already traded, you know, our top two young players. Thankfully, we did it for a guy that fits in perfectly, and we still got all the draft picks and stuff left. But I mean, you gotta have salaries on the books to trade. Right now, they ain't got
Right.
that.
Right.
So, I mean, I could see if Murray trade was like, "Oh, we got to give him Dante DiVincenzo, and they want Hardenstein, and they want Quentin Grimes." You know what I'm saying? If it was something like that that's going to disrupt the core group of guys, and this is just what we're hearing. But if Atlanta's saying, look, we want salary, a young player, and 2 or 3 draft picks, like that's not gonna disrupt what New York has.
Right.
Like people are saying it's gonna kill the chemistry if we start Murray and put the Dante on the bench. Like I don't see it that way.
Right.
I don't see it that way. I don't think that it's gonna be a major issue and it's gonna destroy chemistry.
Right.
He's been playing with Brunson for 5+ years. That's not gonna dissolve just because we say, hey, we bringing in a dude that's an all-star and all NBA talent that just needs a coach like Thibodeau. We bringing him in, you know. So we're gonna slot you to be the captain of the second unit. It's not gonna kill the team chemistry. And you know, people will say, "Oh, we good." We not good right now.
Can I mention something to you about team chemistry?
I'm listening.
I think team chemistry is a lame cop-out excuse for those people that want to say something and don't have anything of substance to say. Right? And here's why. Right? How does team chemistry apply to DeJounte Murray, but the team chemistry argument doesn't apply to OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa?
Right.
You feel me? You made the trade for OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa. Why wasn't team chemistry an issue when they came here and the Knicks started winning and got red hot? Why didn't anybody say anything about team chemistry then? But when it comes to maybe bumping one of your favorite babies out of the rotation to bring in a all-star level, all-star caliber player to upgrade a spot in the starting lineup, we point to chemistry. Right? Was chemistry an issue when Dante DiVincenzo arrived? No, it was not. Was team chemistry an issue last year when we got Hartenstein? No, it was not. Team chemistry is only brought up for those that fearmonger, right? What it is that the people, and I'm not saying you would, of course, you know, if I disagree with you, I would talk to you about it on the telephone first before we got here in a public domain. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What I'm saying is a lot of people in social media and in our chats fearmonger as opposed to making a valid point, right? If chemistry is an issue, why wasn't that the conversation when OG Anunoby arrived? Because chemistry is not an issue.
Nope.
It's for those that don't have a point. They would rather make Knicks fans afraid of the unknown as opposed to opening a gift. Right? You can look at it as a gift, or you can look at it as fear of. You know how when you give somebody a gift, right? They don't know what's in the box, right? Right? They don't know what's in the box, so you can present it to them. You can present it to them as a gift, or you can present it to them as the unknown, right? And so what? Because they don't know what's inside, right? And so those that don't have a substantial, sustainable, educated, responsible take about upgrading talent, they fearmonger.
That's sad, bro. That's sad. And people got.
I didn't mean to throw you off track with that, man.
No, it's because it made me think about some things, and I'm like, this morning I made the comment. I said, look, like I said, some of these arguments that people are making are illogical. Like it's illogical to me. Like, and I asked a simple question. I said, how is adding, and not, it don't even have to be a Murray, but let's just say an all-star caliber talent, right? How is adding an all-star caliber talent for Fournier's contract, Quentin Grimes, and some draft picks? How is that?
Wait. Are you telling me how is acquiring Anthony Simons from Portland for some things that we will never use
Right.
a bad thing? Is that what you're asking me?
How's it? That's what I'm asking. Like, how is that because and people always say, oh, well, that's chemistry. And then one comment I got was, oh man, that's gonna put two people playing out of position. I'm like, no, not really. So people bring up the argument that, oh well, we saw how that worked out in Atlanta. The biggest difference between Atlanta and New York is Jalen Brunson, for one, he can be dominant on the ball or off the ball. But the biggest difference between him and Trae Young is when Trae Young doesn't have the ball, he stands and watches. When Jalen Brunson doesn't have the ball, he is always moving. Dude is smallest player on the court most of the time. He's setting screens. He doing something.
Right.
Like, I mean, the dude, he played with Luka Doncic and was successful over the course of a playoff series. He played with Julius Randle. He's been great on the ball and off the ball. So it's some people are just afraid of.
May I point to the Atlanta thing?
Yep.
So the Atlanta thing. Oh, I got an echo. I got an echo real bad. Can you hear that? Or is that just me?
I don't hear it.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute Woodshed while I'm talking, and then I'm gonna unmute him while he's talking to everybody. So, and then that way we won't have a echo. The Atlanta thing. You can't look at Atlanta in a vacuum, right? You can't look at Atlanta as a standard, right? Atlanta, no disrespect to Demond and all my guys, we talk Hawks and all my guys in Atlanta that watch and support, and we support them. Those are our brothers, right? But Atlanta is a mess, right? They've had 3 coaches in 4 years, right? Their front office is trash. Their owner is not interested in winning. And you know this by watching Atlanta. You know this, right? So to say taking DeJounte Murray out of a stable organization where he was on the path to superstardom and putting him in Atlanta in a hot mess and saying and have DeJounte Murray be the culprit is ridiculous. Right? It's ridiculous. At some point, as NBA fans, we have to understand that the play on the court is not always just about the play on the court. Right? The reason why San Antonio had a dynasty is because their organization was rock solid. The reason why Golden State had a dynasty is because their organization was rock solid. The reason why Miami had a dynasty is because their organization was rock solid, right? The reason why Denver is on their way to becoming a dynasty is because their organization is rock solid. And hello, the reason why DeJounte Murray will fit right here, because our organization is on the way to being rock solid. You can't just point to Dante DiVincenzo's 1 year in Sacramento and say, well, oh, he was a cast-off journeyman, couldn't find his way and all that stuff. Dante DiVincenzo also played for the Bucks, whose organization is rock solid, and Golden State, whose organization is rock solid. So if we're keeping it a stack, if we're keeping it even and not being hypocrites, if you point to DeJounte Murray not being the answer because of what it looked like he was doing in Atlanta, you can use the same argument for Josh Hart, who played in Portland, and Dante DiVincenzo, who played in Sacramento, right? We use these one-sided arguments to point out the flaws in a player, but forget that Julius Randle played 1 year in New Orleans. Josh Hart played for New Orleans and Portland. Dante DiVincenzo played for Milwaukee, Golden State, and Sacramento before he got here. So to point out the misgivings or miscast in one spot is hypocritical. My bad, Wilshere.
Nah, you good, man. I mean, it's the truth though, and I would like to see everyone not be on the same page. Not everyone agree, but everyone at least come to an understanding. And I'm like, if I can see somebody's point, I'm gonna tell you, look, I don't agree, but I see your point. But it's almost like it's the same conversation every year, where we see things that are needed and they're not. And I'm not saying that. Let me rephrase this way because OG Ananobi, that one move, it showed how close they are. It show how close they are. And the one thing I don't want to do, I don't want to waste another year of Jalen Brunson's prime on the unknown. Give me some players that are known to produce. Because we all talk about Randall in the playoffs last year, but last year in the playoffs, Josh Hart was not good. He was not good. You know what I mean? If we being real, they all struggle. Hardestein, not good. You know, I mean, he's gone, but Emmanuel quickly was not good. If you look at Dante's playoff career, it's not been good. The only player that we have on this roster that for certain has been good in the playoffs is Jalen Brunson. So the unknown factor is when you get to the playoffs, and I don't know what it is about basketball. It's not as prominent as it is in other sports, but some about the NBA playoffs. Guys can have a great regular season, amazing regular season. And then when the playoffs start and you playing that same good team across a 7-game series, you can throw the scouting reports out the window. They know what you're doing. You know what they do. When you see that same player, that same matchup, ain't no more tricks. And the talent is usually the deciding factor. I mean, like, are we really wanting to bank another year of Brunson's prime on that? Or if you had the assets to go out there and get some proven talent and players that you know going to be able to show up no matter what, I mean, I'm going to take the proven and known commodity. I feel like we went through this last year. Josh Hart was shooting 50-some% from three, and we were winning a lot of games. And I'm like, man, I don't know how sustainable this is. Then come playoffs, what happened? It dropped off. He turned back into who he was. So the biggest concern I have right now is the health of this team. Because if you have injuries, then your depth is no longer depth. You got players that are having to step up and start. Some of them having to go from playing 20 minutes with Tibbs to almost 40 or 40 plus. Like, it's not sustainable, man. Like, where we are right now is not currently sustainable. I would like for the team to at least have enough to where we can say, you know what, man? Look, man, we playing the Pacers. Man, Randall, you can take the game off, man. Look, we playing the Spurs, Brunson, man. You can stay back home, man. You don't have to come out and play this team. But we're in a position now to where if he's not on the floor, we don't have a functional point guard. We don't. And I love Deuce McBride. Love what he's done this year, but we literally do not have a functional point guard. The Laker game was an eye-opener. Yes, we didn't have Randall. Yes, we didn't have OG. But Brunson was like 15 for 30 shooting. So the offense wasn't a problem. It was the inability of the other guys to make shots. So, I mean, right now we're in a position where we're praying these guys get healthy. We're praying that they stay healthy. Because this Dallas game, especially if Brunson is out, it's going to be unwatchable.
Got a question.
It's going to be unwatchable.
All right, so I got a question I'm going to ask just real quick.
Yep.
Are we excited about what Deuce McBride can be, or are we excited that we are seeing signs of life from a player that we thought may not be a quality NBA player?
I'm gonna say the latter because when I look at his game, he still has that football player on the basketball court kind of like, look to his game. Like, I think that we all for the most part know what he can be, which is a solid backup point guard. But I think the excitement is more so about the fact that because we saw him drop 30 in the G League and go 9 for 11 from three, and then come up to the big squad and be scared to shoot or have multiple air balls. So for me, the excitement is that okay, he's performing, he's contributing, and it's not just a waste of time because think about this Miles McBride. If you leave him open, he gonna knock it down. The biggest question though is when the playoffs start, is he still going to be this same guy? That's the biggest question.
No, and
that's the biggest question.
Would respectfully, you know what the answer is to that question, and this is the reason why we're talking about the trade deadline, right? Young players like that, regardless who they are, they don't immediately step into prominent roles in their first year of being on the major stage. Was Deuce on the team last year? Yes, but he wasn't in a prominent role, right? Deuce McBride might have played 60 minutes the entire playoffs, right? My thing is, we know that Deuce McBride is not going to be that guy, and we know that Grimes is not going to be that guy in the playoffs. And I can just ask you as simple as this, bro, in a crunch situation, say Jalen Brunson's in foul trouble, right? Or say Jalen Brunson's going to, say it's the beginning of the fourth quarter and the Miami Heat have a 1-point lead and Jalen Brunson has already played 30 minutes, right? Mm. When he goes to the bench to take a rest, do you trust this matchup? Eric Spoelstra versus Deuce McBride.
I can't. I literally cannot. And that's the reality. When you're talking about the playoffs, it ain't no Memphis's on the schedule. Ain't no Houston's on the schedule when you're in the playoffs. Ain't no Toronto Raptors on the schedule. You playing good teams, good coaches every night. And those coaches know how to exploit weaknesses, bro. You saw what Spoelstra did. What the Lakers did was nothing. Spoelstra did that last year.
Right.
He said, we're gonna dare Josh Hart to beat us. Whoever's on Hart, you the help side defender. You shot on Brunson every time he touched the rock. You looking at Randall every time he touched the rock. And it was the same thing with the Lakers game, bro. I'm watching the game, and them guys were leaving Hart. Like, just leaving them. Like, wide open. Like, we're going to make you prove that you can beat us. So, it's the same thing with
Are you willing to risk another year of Jalen Brunson's prime?
I can't.
To see
not
if
on that.
McBride can be the guy?
Not on that. I mean, I'm just being honest. Not on that. Not on that, man. You know, I mean, if there's an opportunity to get a proven talent here, man, get him. Get him. And if we were to pick up that caliber player, like if it's a Murray caliber player, we're able to pick up that caliber player. There's no team in the East or really even the West that I'm looking at like, man, ain't no way we can beat them in the 7-game series. There's no way. But, you know, getting that type of player or caliber player changes everything. It gives you an opportunity to start thinking about, okay, can we get this championship ring? Because personally, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If they give me a championship ring, bro, I'm good for 10 years.
Right.
I may not like everything I see, but in the back of my mind, I'm going to be saying, well, look, at least Leon Rose got us a championship.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want to say about him, but at least he got us a championship. Right. Like, I've been watching Knicks basketball across 5 decades, bro, and ain't seen a championship yet. Man. Generations of people have been born and died since the Knicks won their last championship.
Right.
Like it's been too long. We got expansion teams that have come to the NBA and won championships since the Knicks last won the championship. So to me, my preferred move, my preferred choice when it comes to personnel decision is whatever puts us in closer proximity of a championship.
Right.
Don't care about continuity. I don't care about nepotism. Don't care about loyalty. Whatever puts this team in a better position to win a championship, I'm willing to do. The only untouchable players are the ones that got their jerseys in the rafters, period. If your name ain't Reed, Frazier, or Ewing, you ain't untouchable.
Right.
If moving you puts us in a better position to win a championship, you can go. Period.
Right.
Period.
You know what
It's
we can
hard.
we can compare it to, and it's gonna sound weird, right? What we can compare it to, right? And chat, this is this is like a conversation I had in the 90s with somebody. Somebody told me in the 90s, right? And we laugh at this to this day because of how ridiculous it sounds now, right? But right now, think about this. In 1999, I believe it was, or 98, I believe it was, my homeboy said to me, "No, we don't need to trade for Damon Stoudemire because we have Charlie Ward." That's what my homeboy told me. Both of us are Knicks fans, right? And he told me that then, and I still joke with him about that to this day. Bro, you legit was satisfied with Charlie Ward when we could have traded for Damon Stoudemire. I still to this day don't understand why Knicks fans think this way. Right? Knicks fans are saying, why do we need to go out and get a star when we could just get a recycled dude off of our bench that ain't never proved nothing in the league? Does because that don't make sense in my mind, and it doesn't make sense to me in my ears when I say it out loud. Why trade for a star in the NBA when we could grab a dude off of our bench that ain't never proved nothing and put him in a prominent role? And then tell Uncle Freezy, super chat Uncle Freezy, yo, Uncle Freezy, I've been a long-suffering Knicks fan since 1970. Yo, you deserve to be a long-suffering fan. When you say something like, don't get DeJounte Murray because we have Deuce McBride, are you kidding me? That's the weirdest thing I ever heard in my life.
Well, I mean, but that's how it is. I'm gonna step back and give Leon Rose a little bit of kudos here because I can't remember whether it was you or somebody else. We had the conversation that it's gonna come a time where Leon Rose has to look in the mirror and say, "Look, am I gonna trade these fans' favorite kids? Am I gonna do it?" And I'm gonna be honest. I said earlier and previously, I didn't think he had the guts to trade RJ Barrett. I didn't think that he did. But when Garrison Rosas came to town and he started having some voices from outside the building,
Right.
they were like, "Look, you gotta do what you gotta do." And he looks like a genius. Leon Rose looks like a genius because since the trade, his team is 16-3.
Right.
And the Raptors are 4-10.
And you know what? And for the people that talk chemistry, where was that fake chemistry and continuity conversation when OG Anunoby got here? Since OG Anunoby got here, I don't hear nobody talk about chemistry with him and Precious. That lame chemistry continuity conversation, bro. Y'all wasn't saying that when OG Anunoby got here. Right? I'm saying, bro, I think we are brainwashed, desensitized, and have Stockholm syndrome with the previous regime's way of thinking. Right?
Yeah.
In what universe do you say, no, man, I'm not trading for Michael Jordan because we already got Gerald Wilkins. Gerald Wilkins could do the same thing Michael Jordan do. What do we even? It's ridiculous, bro.
I'm gonna tell you the truth, and this was probably when I just gave up. I had a guy. I ain't gonna say his name, but we were cool, bro, for decades and decades. And I'll never forget. You remember when the whole Starks and Spreewell thing was going on when the rumors first dropped, and we reading
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated, and we reading the trade rumors in the newspaper. And I'm like, the guy was saying that we can't move off of John Starks, man. That's our heart and soul. And I'm like, brother.
Yeah.
At one point, Sprewell is the best second shooting guard in the East behind, like it's in the league behind Jordan. Like he was.
Yeah.
Some people were saying this is the next best shooting guard behind Michael Jordan. Like
Right.
John Starks has never been on that level. And some of these same fans would have been like, nah, we got to keep John Starks, man, because that's our heart and soul, man. We don't want to mess with the chemistry of the team. We went to the finals with this guy and everything, and would have passed on Sprewell, bro. Like talent, especially in the playoffs, in the NBA, talent with confident coaching usually wins.
Woods, wait, Wood, let me ask you this. So you're saying, and remind you, Starks is top 3 favorite Knick of all time for me, right? My top 3 are Pat, Clyde Frazier, John Starks, right? And the top 2 kind of go back and forth in some type of order. Sometimes I love Clyde more than Pat. Sometimes I love Pat more than Clyde. But you're telling me that we picked up a undrafted free agent, gave him a chance, right? He developed in our system, and he was a good player, but he had a ceiling, right? But you could go out and get Latrell Sprewell, who at the time was the second best shooting guard in the Western Conference behind Mitch Richmond at the time, right? People can however you rank them, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Everybody have their own opinion, right? You're telling me you have a top 3 or 4 shooting guard in the league, and you won't trade him for a dude that you found off the scrap heap that has a ceiling. And Would you notice after you got Latrell Sprewell, you noticed the team went to the NBA Finals, right?
Sure did, and almost immediately. Like almost immediately.
So what are we even talking about?
We're in the same situation, but here's the irony behind it, right? You're not even in the situation where you have to completely remove Dante. He's still gonna be here.
He's still gonna be here.
He would still be here. He's still gonna get the same number of shot attempts he taking. He's still gonna get the same amount of on-ball opportunities.
May get the same amount of minutes.
Probably gonna play. Hell, he could play more
28 minutes.
I think the one that will lose, like, because I will give Tibbs this. This year, we've seen some stuff that I couldn't even imagine, bro. I couldn't even imagine. I looked up one game, and Tibbs had a 4-guard lineup out there. I was impressed. And I looked up the next game, then he had like 4 guards and Randall.
Right.
So if Dante is hot, you can run a 3-guard lineup. Sorry, Josh. Sit this one out.
Yeah.
Like, so we don't have to be in the frame of mind that, okay, we got to have a point guard on the floor. Then we got to have a shooting guard on the floor. And then we got to have a small forward on the floor. Okay, and then we got to, no, we don't have to be in that frame of mind. If you got 3 high hands on there, slide OG to the 4. Play Julius at the 5. Play your 3 guards. I mean, the possibility is endless. But most importantly, this team is right where that Ewing era team was, which honestly they should have did it a couple years sooner, because when we got to that 98 team, he was still Pat, but he wasn't able to go toe to toe with Tim Duncan Pat. You know what I'm saying? If that matchup would have took place 3 years early, we would have smoked him.
Right. Pat was washed. 99 Pat was washed. People forget that Pat Ewing was 36 years old.
Yeah, he was done.
Did y'all see Taj Gibson last night? Did y'all see an old man, big first round pick last night? And
I'm gonna tell you,
Pat Ewing would have been.
Taj looks like Taj looked like he didn't want to go in the game, bro. He was looking like, man, I really don't want to go in and play, man, but I guess I'll go in.
Just put a cigarette out. Taj Gibson legit looked like he was like, oh, he called him out. Hold on. That's what Taj Gibson looked like last night, bro.
Yeah, Taj looked like he didn't want no parts of the game. He was looking like, man, just let me rock out on the bench. I'm good, man. Just let me chill. But I mean, I'm happy because Taj is a positive presence to have in the locker room,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be a coincidence that with him being here, you're going to see Precious Achua get better and better and better and better and better because now he has the exact archetype of player that he can lean on and he can learn from. Because if you look at the game, Precious Achua can absolutely be another Taj Gibson. A dude that's 6'8", 6'9", can play anywhere in the front court. You know what I'm saying?
Can guard threes, can guard big threes like Jason Tatum, can guard small fours, big fours, small fives, and we've even seen him guard big fives like Jokic.
Listen, this may sound crazy, but his pick and roll defense is on par with OG Anunoby. It's insane. This dude's getting skinny going between screens and like is insane, and he's only gonna get better. Right. And that's another situation where we brought the guy in. There wasn't no issue with chemistry. Wasn't no issue with continuity. The reason he's doing well is because you got a coach that looks for players like him. That's the play he wants.
Right.
He can defend multiple positions. If you leave him wide open, he can make an open shot. He can rebound. He can defend. He's got good endurance. He can play long minutes, and I mean, it's a perfect fit. So I look at it as the most important decision that Leon Rose is going to make.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this the title of the show, the biggest decision that the Knicks front office has ever faced, and whatever side of the argument or debate you're on, whether you go all in or if you stay pat. I mean, in theory, there's really no wrong answer. No wrong answer to it. Yeah. Because it's all about your experience level and how long you've been a fan and what your desire is. So there's really no wrong answer, right? But at the same time, the statement that's made, the biggest decision the Knicks front office has ever faced, when they feel like they may be a championship contender, but both of your all-stars are hurt, your best wing player is hurt, your starting center is hurt, your backup center is hobbled, one of your key rotation young players is hobbled, and if you stay pat right now and don't bring in reinforcements, it doesn't guarantee you that they could keep the momentum going, because at some point the what's the word that we looking for where you start to backslide because you just run out of assets. At some point you'll start getting diminishing returns, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right? Because the guys are going to try to come back early from an injury that they have already, right? So then they're going to be playing hobbled with injuries, right? And then you're going to ask them to go out and keep the season alive, even though they're probably playing at 75, 80%. And to say we're not going to bring in reinforcements only gets us to the place where I think you're setting yourself up for a major slide, like a losing 10 out of 15 games, going on a losing streak just because bodies are going down, right? You mess around and only win 7 out of 20, and then now you're in that play-in situation when all you had to do was go get a couple of live bodies to maintain buoyancy, and then when everybody got healthy, you could put the entire Justice League together in the playoffs and compete for a championship, or you can have your season depend on Deuce McBride and Jacob Toppin.
Well, that's really what you're saying, because a Murray acquisition is not about Dante. It's not about Dante at all. Dante's still going to be here. Right. It's about whether or not you value chemistry and having Grimes and Fournier and draft picks, or do you value adding a talent? It's really that simple. Like the Dante lands to me, like I don't see any way possible Murray comes off the bench here. But if they brought him here, let's say if he did come on the bench, so what? You still have a talent that you're putting in the building. I'm willing to risk chemistry to do that. I am. I
So,
am.
hey,
So
I'm lost. Can you define chemistry for me?
I'm gonna be honest. Chemistry is a term that is often used in sports anyway, when someone is fearful of change. That's usually the only person that uses that. And in so many words, they'll admit that they're afraid of the change, but won't have the guts to say, look, man, I'm just scared that if we make this move, it's gonna mess the team up. Say that.
But can I ask you a
Well,
question? Would if I told you that we could add Bill Simmons and Stephen A. Smith to your Big Boss Man roundtable, would you tell them no because you didn't want to disrupt the chemistry?
hell no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, because you're talking about bringing in dynamic talent. Now, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't be on board with trading like draft picks and a young player for Bogdanovich. No,
No.
that ain't worth it to me.
Right.
When I see that name and other names pop up, I'm like, oh no. Like, I'm not even really sure I'm willing to do it for Harrison Barnes. And Harrison Barnes is actually good. I'm not even sure if I'm willing to do that for that because I'm like, okay, that may help us a little bit, but that ain't getting us past the Celtics. Which is, to me, that's what it's about. Is there a move available that you can make today that will put your team in position to take out the Celtics? To me, that's really what it's about.
For me, it's about having the best roster possible in a NBA Finals Game 7 on the road. Right? That's what I'm thinking. So, Chat, if you're not with me on the way I'm thinking, let me just give you my perspective on it. And if you don't share the same perspective, so what? You just use your perspective. I'm just saying this is how I'm thinking, right? Like I'm not gonna judge the chat on how they think. I'm just gonna put the way I think out there. My mindset is get the best roster possible for a NBA Finals Game 7 on the road against a quality opponent. And if you're telling me that a rotation of Josh Hart, Precious Achua, Quentin Grimes, and Deuce McBride is your bench unit in that Game 7, I'm telling you, you're not winning the championship.
You're in trouble.
I'm telling you straight to your face. Right? That's my mindset on it. In a Game 7, we're saying that the bench unit is going to be Deuce McBride, Quentin Grimes, Josh Hart, and Precious Achua. And now, mind you, I love all four. Or let me rephrase that. Deuce out of that group is my favorite player out of that group, right? Y'all know I love Deuce McBride, right? I shout out to Deuce and all his people that support the show and all of that, right? I love Deuce, right? But Deuce ain't ready. And I would sit up here and be a bold-faced liar and be untruthful to you. The reason why I think the channel is dope is because I could sit here and be totally honest with you. Whether you agree with me or not, you understand where I'm coming from. I don't have a hidden agenda. Like, I'm not going to fluff people up just so that I can get the inside track. Oh, maybe the Knicks will talk to me. No, I don't do that. That ain't me. Right? What I'm telling you is the truth as I see it. And I expect the chat to tell me the truth as they see it. Keep it a stack. Keep it real. And what I'm saying is, would in a Game 7, say in a Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets, the defending champs, we playing in Denver, in Colorado, in the altitude against the reigning NBA champs in a Game 7, I don't want my bench unit to be Josh Hart, Grimes, Deuce McBride, and Precious.
You know, the major problem with that, though, is that you have so much pressure put on your starting five. Like when you have a bench that you can only guarantee or feel like they're gonna give you maybe 15 points, like that puts so much pressure on your starting five that nobody can afford to have an off game. Nobody. Whereas opposed to if you have a dude like Dante on the bench that if he get hot, he can give you 30, that changes everything.
Right.
It legitimately changes everything. So I do think that they're close. I do think that the biggest question that we'll have come playoff time, if they make the appropriate moves, is can Tibbs get us over the hump? Because if you bring in that talent and you stock this roster up and you have Brunson, Murray, Anunoby, Randall, Hartenstein / Robinson, DiVincenzo, Hart, McBride, Achua. If that's your 9-man rotation, it's about Tibbs at that point.
Right.
Because at that point, Leon Rose has given you enough to win the East. Period. I can't really say that right now. But if those are the 9 bodies that we running out at that point, it is the question is, can Thibodeau get us over the hump? Now, of course, that's within reason. If we go out there and Brunson have a series where he shoot 29% from the field, that's nobody saw that coming. But within reason, if that's the 9-man rotation, when the playoffs begin, now we got to look at Thibodeau.
Now we got to depend on. Let me just say this real quick because Corey Lee sent this about 30 minutes ago. Corey Lee, thank you for the generous contribution. Corey Lee, the host of the 718 Boys Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. right here on Blawrence Tier, says, I value long, substantial winning versus short term. And what I would say to that, Corey Lee, is that you are telling a fib. I wanted to call you a liar, but out of respect for my brother, I'm going to say he's a fibber. And the reason why I say that is because valuing long-term winning over short-term winning doesn't apply to the Knicks because we haven't won in 50 years. What you value is winning, period. Right? Right? You value winning, period. Not long-term, not short-term, winning, period. Once we win, then Corey Lee can make that statement of value long-term winning versus short-term winning. And this is my man. Corey Lee is my brother. I talk to him about 2 hours a day, every day. Right? That's my man. Right? But Corey Lee is a fibber on that point. I thank him for the contribution. But Corey Lee knows that he would prefer a chip over everything. Right? It's the question, why are we here?
Let me say this, because I respect where Corey Lee's coming from, right? But I'm gonna tell you this. I would trade that entire Patrick Ewing era for a championship. For a championship.
Right.
I would trade that whole era if my team won a championship.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you're just not starting to see Detroit Pistons fans get kind of rowdy and upset. Because we at that 20-year mark. They were good for a minute because they still had 2004 where they won a championship. I think it was 06 when they went back and lost to San Antonio. So, but they won a championship.
They made the Eastern Conference Finals 8 years in a row.
Yeah, it was crazy.
8 years in a row, bro,
and got a championship out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love Corey Lee to death, man. I watch the show as much as I can when they're on. But, bro, I would trade because that Ewing era from about 89, 90 on to 2000 pretty much, it was sustainable winning basketball. But I would trade that whole era for a championship, bro.
Yeah.
I would, because, I mean, we haven't seen it because...
And so with those players, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the thing about it is, when your team, like, that's why even as a Mets fan, the Mets were the epitome of a large market team with a small market mindset. Just most times trash, right? But I still got my 86 World Series, bro. I still got Bill Buckner holding it down for us, ushering us through. I still got that. New York Giants been the worst team in football for a decade now. the worst team in the NFC for the better part of 20 years, but I've seen 4 Super Bowls. So even though I get upset, I get pissed off, I'm still secure because I've seen with the Knicks, bro.
Right.
I ain't seen it.
You haven't seen it.
I ain't seen it. And here you have Leon Rose that's in a position to where after 3 years, in his 4th year, has a legitimate opportunity to put this team in a championship, and it's only one move away.
Yeah, and let me ask you this in these last 3 minutes that we got, right? Let me ask you this. What do you expect the Knicks to do before tomorrow? The deadline is about 24 hours away, right? The deadline legit is like that Fox show 24. You ever saw that show 24?
I got to go back and watch because I heard it was I've only watched 1 or 2 episodes, but I was kind of in and out, so I didn't realize what the show was about, and I didn't realize he was going back. I'm like, oh snap, that's a good concept, but I got to go back and watch that because I heard the show was amazing. Bro.
Yeah, I heard it was amazing.
Yeah, you gotta watch 24, bro, when you get a chance. But in these 24 hours, right? What do you expect Leon Rose to do?
What I expect him to do, I expect him to get DeJounte Murray. That's honestly what I expect him to do because I don't see them having to sit down with Clutch Sports just so they can discuss, Malcolm Brogdon or even Jordan Clarkson. So a report came out that the Atlanta Hawks did not have an offer on the table for multiple first-round picks in the package to get Murray. That's the offer that's the news that came out, that they don't even have an offer on the table for multiple first-round picks. So can you identify? I would give up 2 picks to get him. That's just me. So that's what I would expect him to try to accomplish in the next 24 hours. I think if that doesn't work out, at minimum, I think he'll get Alec Burks back over here, who me personally, I've always been a Burks fan. Even when Burks was on Philadelphia and Golden State and Utah, I've always been an Alec Burks fan. Right. He just cannot stay healthy enough to be a consistent, NBA starter. But I think that you'll see either one of those 2 things happen. Personally, the order of preference that I would have would be Murray, then Clarkson, and then Burks.
Okay.
That would be my order of preference. So I'm hoping that we end up with one of the 3. But if you have an opportunity to get Murray, just get Murray, man. Just worry about the rest of it later. Just worry about the rest of it later. Worry about the chemistry. Worry about the fit. Give me a 20.7 assist, 5 rebound guy. Get him in the building, and then I promise you, we'll figure the rest out later.
Well, and you know what the irony to it is that if you get 2 players to come in, you're still going to pay the same price as you would have for 1 player and DeJounte Murray.
Right, exactly.
Right. So it's like buying 2 brand new Honda Civics fully loaded when you could have bought 1 Mercedes. you know what I'm saying?
That's a hell of an analogy, but it's really what it is, man. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then you add in the 200 Civics, and you got a fleet of 4 Broncos. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on. But I hope they can get it done, because I'm being honest. If I was an Atlanta fan, I would want Grimes. I would want him because he can be that Kevin Huerter type that can play next to Trey and not have to have the ball at all. Because the difference between Trey and Brunson is Trey has to have the ball. Like, for him to be impactful at all on the offensive end, he literally has to have the ball. That's not the case with Jalen. Even when Jalen don't have the ball, you got to pick him up from 30 feet because he pull up.
Right.
So, I mean, I think Leon Rose will find a way to get it done, man. And I think it will eventually be Murray. I think it will be.
Right. All right. Well, that's all I got, brother. And y'all, we try to keep these to like 30 minutes. We went over, like we went into the double overtime, right? Just chopping it up. Big Boss Man, I appreciate you coming through, giving the Knicks universe you know what I'm saying, about an hour of your time, man. We appreciate that. We know you like one of the busiest people, you know what I'm saying, and out here saving the world one Knicks fan at a time.
Man,
So we appreciate you, bro.
always, man. I'm always here, man. Anytime, y'all get bored and you want to get Knicks news, man, come here first. Come to the
Yeah,
Blue Orange Tears Networks first. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
no
That's
doubt.
that's respect to every other network out there, man. But come here first because you're gonna get that straight, unfiltered Knicks talk.
Unfiltered, unstepped on, unsquashed, just straight to the point.
Straight to
So
the point.
right down the middle. Thank y'all for watching, everybody. We're gonna get out of here. Peace, everybody.